Hey guys, what's up? Hope your day's going well. Today, I want to teach you how to run your own Nostr Relay. And why is this important? Well, because Noster's built on relays. So if you add one to the network, that's one more relay that really you're in control of. Honestly, I think that the best thing about Nostr is it allows you to own your data and that you can control that data and where it goes. So just by using someone else's relay, you're under their rule, you're under whatever they want to do with it, and nothing says that they have to keep it. So your data could disappear from a relay, and if it does, it's gone. There's no way to get it back. So doing this is honestly the next step in kind of the Nostr journey, and I think that there are some really unique tools out there that allow us to not just like run a relay and pay for one, but to run a relay and actually own the infrastructure that goes into what it means to have it. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's a really awesome tool out on GitHub called Haven, and it's built by Barry Dean. Shout out to Barry if he's watching this. And I have been running this since its inception, since V1. And there's been some updates to it. There have been, some additions that have been taking place. But the biggest thing that I've realized is that I only need one relay. I only need this one because this relay integrates a blaster, which he calls a blaster, which is basically once you send your notes out to this relay, which is your own, then it communicates out to the broader Nostr network and sends those notes out to more relays. So that's the coolest thing, I think. And another cool feature in this is the import feature. So just like before, you have all these relays that you're sending to, it aggregates all of those and downloads your data to your node or to your relay. Interchangeable words there. So the key here is to learn how to use this. And I've shared a couple times on Nostr for people to go run, a Haven relay, but I've never shown how. And so I want to take, the next 20, 25 minutes, however long this takes, to break down not just like what it means, but how to run it. And yeah, I hope that you get a lot out of this. So the first thing is we need a computer to be able to run this. You need a computer that is always online. And the best part about this specific relay is it's kind of 4-in-1 plus a Blossom relay or plus a Blossom server. And we can get into what that means. But this 4 relays in 1 is really the key to why I think that this is the best implementation of a node or of a relay. And so you can run this directly like on a Raspberry Pi, or you could run this directly on something like a Windows computer that gets flashed with Linux. But what I'm going to show you today is how to run this on macOS inside of a virtual machine. And it's important to do that for a couple reasons. Virtual machines are a little bit safer on a main computer, but also this can be utilized and just standalone by itself. So if you have like a little, $200 Mac Mini, $150 Mac Mini, you can run this code on that Mac Mini and it can be always online for you to use. So first things first, what is a virtual machine? Well, on macOS, there's a really great tool called UTM, and you can get this application from mac.getutm.app. And this application is simply a emulator for different operating systems. So you can see here in the demo they have online, there's a Windows XP operating system running on top of macOS. What we'll be doing, if you hit download on this, it's completely free. If you go to the Mac App Store, it does cost some money, so you can go give Apple 40% of the profit or whatever, for whatever reason. But once you download this and get it installed, there is a gallery that you can go to just start running Linux operating systems. And that's what we'll do. We're going to go browse. And the best one I found to use for this is Debian 11 XFCE. You can run a Ubuntu version or something else, but I recommend this one because it's really lightweight and you can put the system together how you want it to. And that's what we're going to walk through today. And something to note here is that the root account is just username and password. So that's probably one of the first things we're going to change when we jump into here. So you can just say open in UTM, and this will install it inside this emulator. Something important to note, again, is that this has to be always online for you to use this. And So make sure this isn't on just like a laptop that you're going to like shut and like take to the coffee shop or something with you. This is something that you need to have plugged in basically all the time. All right, so once we have this installed, we can hit edit right here. We can right click and say edit. And the reason for that is so that way we can give the system a little bit more memory. It has just enough to run the operating system, but we're going to be installing some additional software on here. So we want to give it more RAM. And this is your, actual RAM from your computer. It will utilize that RAM. So make sure that you don't just max this out, or else your computer won't like that very much. So I just double it. I go from 1,000 to 2,000. So that way you get 2 gigabytes of RAM. That's kind of the idea here. We can go ahead and get logged in, we can go ahead and start the virtual machine, I should say, and then get logged in. We're going to use that original default username and password to log in, and we're going to start with the default account. So Debian, and then we're in, and we're greeted with the terminal, which is good. We need it, so we're going to be using that a lot. So the first thing we want to do here when we get logged in is to change the password. You can do that with passwd, and it's going to ask for the current password and then a new password. All right, password updated successfully. So we updated the default username and password. Let's go ahead and update the root username and password as well. You can do that by typing su and then the name root, and that'll switch us over to the root as soon as we type in that extra unsafe password. So once we type that in, we are logged in as the root in the terminal. Once we're there, we can do the same thing, passwd, and it's going to ask for a new password, which I need to type in correctly. So good. So now that we have that updated, we will go ahead and switch back to the user Debian. And now that we're here, we can start. So what are the first things that we need to do to get this Haven relay running? Well, it gives you the prerequisites here. And something to note about prerequisites is that they are application specific, or I guess I should say operating system specific. So these are going to be, if you're running an Ubuntu, this will make a lot more sense because it will install directly. We're using Debian, so it's going to be a slightly different process. But I'll walk you through that so we can get it going. It's going to ask for the password. I'm just doing sudo apt update so that we can get the latest packages. All right. And it's going to have us now do sudo apt install snapd. Used to pasting. There we go. And we say Y to install. So there's yes. And now we're going to use that snap program that we just installed to install Go, which is going to be how we compile the Haven relay. So we'll do that. There we go. And this is where things start to differ just a little bit. So the main thing to know here is that we just installed Go, but it installed it in a location that is not typical. So the Go version here, I did it again. If we check that Go version, you can see it's not finding where that is installed on our system. So what we will do is we will use a command here that's going to update our environment table so that it knows where we installed that Go program. And so what we're doing here is saying export path and then giving the path to that Go application that we need to use to build this. So export path. And now whenever we run Go version, you can see that user localhost bin. I did it again. That was the wrong one. It's snap because we used snap to install this. So we need to go here and install that Go version. And now you can see that it has the Go version 1.23.5, which is the one we'll need to do this entirely. Now, we need to, in the next piece down here, it says build essentials. If you're using Linux, you may need to install build essentials, and we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll copy this right here because we are using Linux and paste that in and run that there. Yes, we want to install it. All right. Now, this first step in the instructions, now that we've got the prerequisites finished, the first step in the instructions is to clone the repository. When cloning a repository, it does use a program called Git, and it's through GitHub. So we are trying to copy these documents to our local folder. And in order to do that, like if I said Git right now, it would not know what to do. It doesn't, same kind of, it doesn't know that that program exists on the computer. So what we need to do is sudo apt install git, Git, and this will install Git to allow us to clone that folder. One of the reasons that I suggested XFCE is because you can have a file browser and a desktop environment inside of here. One of the things I want you to be able to do is know what the computer's doing whenever we're inside the terminal. And so I'm going to leave this window open on the side here. See if we can just snap it. Leave that open on the side here so that way we can see what all is happening on the back end. All right, so now we can do git clone, and we can clone that repository, which is going to be, again, all of these files into our main folder here. This is going to be our root folder. So this squiggle right here means home Debian. We're inside of that folder right now. So whenever we paste this and run it, you'll see a brand new folder called Haven appear. And that's what we've done. We've just copied basically a folder of data to our computer. Now that we have that, we need to go inside of that folder. And I don't mean like that. That's traditionally how you would do that. We're going to use this next command that's over here called cd haven. And this tells the terminal window that we need to go inside of that folder with the terminal. All right. So now we're inside of that Haven folder, and we can move to step 2, which is to copy this .env.example to a new file called .env. And you can see over here, we don't necessarily see that .env file because it starts with a period. So that means it is a hidden file. If we go View, Show Hidden Files, then you can see that .env example, a couple other hidden files there as well. So what we will do now, and the only reason I did that again is to show you what it's doing on the back end. So we're going to use this command, which is cp copy, and we're going to create that new .env file. You'll see it appear over on the right. There it is. And we can open it up. It says step 3 is to open it. Open the .env file that we just created and set the necessary environment variables. All right, well, what does that mean? Environment variables. Well, this can look like a daunting task, is to go through this and update the code. However, it's not very scary. This is not as intimidating as it looks. All we have right here is an npub, and in this case, this is the creator of the relay. That's his npub that he's using as kind of an example. On top of this, he has his URL, so you would need to put your URL in here that you're wanting to use, or that you own, I guess, is more important. So the URL that you own, along with like a sub directory that you're going to use for this relay. It has the port, the relay port, and it has the bind address here, which we can go ahead and get rid of because we want to allow this for all interfaces. Okay, so the other thing that you'll have inside of here is a name, so like a relay name, and then the link, like a relay icon, so like a picture for the relay. These are going to be duplicated in here about 4 different times because each one is a different relay. So it runs 4 relays. That was what we kind of talked about in the beginning, is it's 4 relays in one. So we need to go through this document and update it to allow for our own data, our own npub, our own website, our own relay icon or picture that we want to use. This could be a picture that's hosted anywhere on the internet as long as it's accessible publicly. I'm not going to change any of these settings in here. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to use the standard. The only one that I'm going to change here is this, so that we can send it to my website, which would be pl3bs.co. So this would be your website in your case. You would want to update that with your website and update all of the times that it says npub. So it says npub here on the chat relay. It'll say npub here on the outbox relay. and it'll say inbox, all these places where it says npub. It'll be your specific npub that you give it, and that allows you to write to this relay because it's yours. You want to be able to write to it. The import settings are also kind of important. It has an import start date. I told you that this program has the ability to go out to relays and get the old notes or the notes that you've written and bring those into this one. And so this import start date would want to be the date of your first note, or about roughly the time that you started on Noster, so that you get everything. You pull all the data. All right. So after you have updated the names, the npubs, and the icons for this relay, you can just save this document. So you would just go File, Save, and then Close. And that is how you set the environment variables. It's important to follow the process there and look at the variables. You can, again, go up here to the top and hit the env.example, and it is the same document that we just copied. So you can see how it's laid out with all of the features there. Next, after step 3, we're going to do 2 commands here, it looks like. So we're going to copy the relays import example JSON, and we're going to copy that into a new document called relays import JSON. And let's watch that happen. Again, this is kind of what happens behind the scenes whenever we do this. So it's going to take this relay import example and copy it. We are going to copy it into a new folder. So over here on the terminal, I'm just going to hit enter and watch over here. There it is. So this relays import JSON is what I was referring to just a second ago. It's to take all of that data that is already on relays out on the public web and to pull those down into your relay. So if you're happy with all of these here, you can leave them as is and continue. If you need to update any of the variables so that you import from specific relays, that's where you would do that. Same thing with this blaster JSON right here. We're just going to copy this and paste it over here, and it's going to copy this example JSON and put it in a new one, this relays blaster JSON. And it's the same information. It's just going to be where your relay will send your notes out to reach the rest of the Nostr network. So if you're happy with those, or if there's ones that you want to add, you can add or remove as you see fit. Next, we want to build the project. So with us still inside of this Haven folder, we're just going to do go build. And this will build the application itself. So inside here, in just a little bit, you will see a brand new file appear, which is going to be an executable file, which is basically the application. So let's just give it a second. There it is. And this is where I am going to jump around a little bit. The next step on here is to create a system service, and that's not what I'm going to do just yet. I've found it a little bit easier with the relay itself to skip this step and start with your import. So if we come down here to 8, which is run the import, we are going to, it tells you to stop to do this command, which is sudo systemctl stop haven. And that's if we created the systemctl up here, and we're skipping that real quick to come down and run our import. And so with us still inside of the Haven folder, we can do /haven and then say import. And what this will do is create folders up here, which is Blossom and DB, to be able to download all of the data that is up on those other relays into your local device. And you can see now that it's actually listening at 3355, which is going to be the local host of this machine. And so what that means is that it's running. It's currently running. And if we close the terminal, it would stop the relay. And so we've built it, we've ran it, and now with it running, we can actually go make sure that it's good. Like I said, if we close this terminal window, it's going to stop the relay though. So what we're going to have to do is open a new tab. And this gives us the relay that's running over here on this tab. And it's still doing its thing. It's going to be running back there in the background. And this is going to allow us to continue working on the other side of what we need to accomplish. What we need to accomplish next is to make sure that it's actually accessible on the local machine before we open it up to the internet and allow it to connect fully online. If we click on a web browser, you can see that it's failed to execute. This does not come with a working web browser by default. So what we need to do here is we need to do sudo apt install Chromium and our password. And this will download a web browser that we can use to access the relay locally. Once we have that, we can go up to Applications, Settings, and Default Applications, and we can change that default web browser, which does not come with, to Chromium. So we'll change it there, say Close. Now when you click on the web browser down here in the bottom, you can see that it wants you to create a key ring. So that's if you were to save passwords, this would be like your password manager password. So awesome. And we have a web browser. Now, I told you that the relay is running in the background. Let's go ahead and put this over here on the side. And I think we can go ahead and get rid of that for right now. The relay is running over here on the side. You can see it's already started importing notes, and I'm actually importing notes from UTXO. So because I'm using his npub, and I've started this relay and I didn't change any of the environment variables like it said in step 3, to change those environment variables, it's actually downloading all of his notes. But beside the point, the relay is running. So we can check that by going to localhost 3355, and there it is. We have our outbox relay, which is how we're going to connect to our relay that's running locally. And this is where things get a little tricky if you've never done any type of reverse proxy or things of that nature, where we're kind of skipping around here on the list. Okay, we've done our Haven import button here, or feature here, so that's actually what it's doing in the terminal. We can close out of this terminal window now. That was just to get the Chromium browser, and so it's currently doing the import. But what we need to do now is we need to connect this local relay, which is here on this virtual machine. We need to connect it out to the open internet. And in order to do that, they are suggesting at 6 to do serve over Nginx. And I'm not a developer. I'm just a user. I've been able to have a lot of fun setting this stuff up, but this is not something that I have found a lot of great benefit in doing. What I have found is that you can use Cloudflare to create a trusted tunnel between the open internet and this local machine. So again, that's what we're going to do here, is create a tunnel so that whenever you connect to your local relay, you're connecting through Cloudflare's tunnel to this virtual machine. I know that might sound a little confusing. I hope to break it down really simply for you. If you have once you have your domain inside of Cloudflare, you can very easily just click on Zero Trust here on the side, and then Networks. What this will do is allow you to create a tunnel. And so we're going to hit Create Tunnel. We're going to use this recommended Cloudflare tunnel to connect to our relay. We'll just name it Relay. Save tunnel. And now we need to choose the environment that we're going to use. So what we're going to use for this one is Debian. That's the virtual machine that we're running. And this specific version on Mac is ARM 64-bit. So, and you can see down at the bottom right here, AMD 64-bit, ARM 64-bit. So it really does depend here which architecture you choose, because it will give you the code that you need. So the piece here that we need is this this code. This uses curl to go out and get certain documents and then install those on the computer. And then also it takes that and installs a token on the virtual machine that will allow you to connect that tunnel together. Now, this token is private, so keep that in mind that you will need to keep this, private to your own device. And it even recommends here, store your token carefully. So one of the pieces that we need to do without closing our relay, because if we, again, close this terminal window, we're going to close our relay. So we want to go File, Open Tab, just like we did to install Chromium earlier. We're going to install Cloudflare on the virtual machine as well. Before we can do that, though, we actually need to install curl, and that's the program that it's using to go out and get these documents. So let's do sudo apt install curl and our password. All right, and then what we can do is we can copy the Cloudflare. It says if you don't have Cloudflare installed on your machine, we're going to use this. So copy and paste. And something I want you to notice before I run this service is that there are currently no connectors. Oh, my head's in the way. Hold on. Let me see if I can get that out of your way. There is down here, no connectors installed. Okay. And so once I run this program here, you can see it's going to download and install, and there it says connected. So we are now using a tunnel from Cloudflare directly into this localhost 3355, right? So we'll say next, and we need to set up the actual tunnel. We need to tell it where, for example, that localhost is located. I think I can bring my head back now. Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to use tester, and then I'll use a domain that I have here. This is just my website that I have. And then for the type of service that we're offering up to the internet is going to be HTTP and localhost 3355. Once we have this, again, I can hide my head and you can say create save tunnel. So that will save the tunnel in, I did this before. I already did this prior, so let's use test instead of tester. So save tunnel, and there we go. Successfully saved for relay. All right, so we have created the relay. We have verified that it's running on the local host, and now we've connected it to the open internet through the Cloudflare tunnel. And now that we have this installed, we can go ahead and close out of that window and just keep our relay open. Okay, so in theory, if we head over to our Mac again, and we go to just that website, which is, let's see, it was test.pl3bs.co, we should see our Outbox relay. It's now connected to the open internet, and you can use this website right here to write to your relay. And I can't show you that because I didn't update the environment itself to be able to have that accessible. But this is an example just to show you that you can very simply, in like 30 minutes, you can get up and running with a relay on your own URL, and you can be digesting those as they come in and saving those for your own keepsake. So that's basically it. It says that you can connect to the relay right here. It would just be this first part of it, not the outbox. It would just be that part of the relay. You would then add that to any of your Nostr clients that you'd like to, and be able to access your relay from anywhere. The next step here would be to connect the system service. So let's go ahead and jump back over to the GitHub page. And you can see the system service right here. This is so that to have the relay run as a service, so that whenever you start the virtual machine, it starts the relay automatically. And this is a little tricky. It depends on the device itself. And I could try to do this live, but I haven't had a great opportunity. I haven't had a great results trying to get this to run on its own. So what I have opted to do is to just leave the terminal running so that the relay is still connected and just minimize the application. And now with that minimized and put away, it's still accessible over here on relay.pl. It wasn't relay, it was test. That's right. And you can see, even with the application minimized and the terminal window still open, you are able to access that outbox relay and connect to it. Just to show you fully, if we take this relay offline, so let's just go Command or Control C to quit basically the function that it's doing, and we refresh, it's gone. However, if we do our, we're inside of our Haven folder and we do /Haven, which is to run the executable file, then you can see it starts up, we hit refresh, and there's our outbox relay. So you can very simply just leave the terminal window running. I did this for a long time until I was able to get the system service actually functioning on Debian. And I will update this video if I get the chance whenever I figure out exactly how to create that system service so that it will run in the background whenever you first start the machine. But that is it in a nutshell. That is how you can run your own relay on your own computer absolutely for free. So I hope this helps, and I hope that you start expanding the Nostr network by literally just running a node. That's the coolest part. See you guys.